This is Learn from Others, where we interview a cross-section of successful individuals so you can learn from their experiences, achievements, and even their mistakes. We ask 4 questions that will educate and inspire. Greg Stanley will be your guide as we join our guest on a journey from adolescent daydreaming to success in today's world. Join us on this adventure as we learn from others together.
Welcome to Learn from Others. This is Greg Stanley, and I'm excited to introduce our special guest, Ron Garland. Ron, thank you for taking us on your career journey today.
Well, thanks for talking with me today. Appreciate it.
No problem. Before we find out what you are doing today, let's start at the very beginning. And can you tell us, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, wow. I never really knew. I look at kids or students or even my sons, and I think people that actually know, that have a deep passion for something from when they're very young, from a fireman to a nurse or whatever, people that have that passion. I think that's awesome. I think it's amazing because I never had that. I never knew, and it was really hard for me to picture and imagine what it would be, even going through guidance counselors in high school and advisors in college. Never knew, and it was really hard for me to imagine what direction, I should go. And I know kids face that a lot too, but for those kids that have that passion and knew what they always wanted to be, that's a gift. I mean, that's great for those people that have that, but I never really had that.
I think that's probably a very common answer. Well, what was your first job you've ever had? Now, this could be one like mowing lawns.
I didn't really have a job when I was younger as a kid. I remember when I turned 16, I did try to find a couple jobs. Nothing ever worked out as far as that. My first job would have probably been in college then to make some extra money. Worked at Taco Bell.
That's one of my excellent perks, bean burritos.
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
So that was your first official job where you got a paycheck and had to pay taxes.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. Well, what was your favorite subject or hobby in school? And that could be either high school or college.
My favorite subject was always math. I always loved math. Again, that was something guidance counselors tried to direct you towards something within that, but that's pretty vague and pretty hard to come up with something. I always did well at it. In high school, was in a math club, and advanced in that, and then college did real well as well.
So that's kind of interesting. So you weren't drawn to any profession like some people are.
Right.
Like you said, that's a gift if that is you. And you you enjoyed math. So tell us what you are doing today and how you got there.
Today I am a real estate agent. Been doing that for about 10 years now. And again, it's not something that I would have ever thought that I would do when I was younger. I didn't have that vision and didn't have that passion for that. But now it is something that I truly enjoy and am amazed that I ended up here and doing well and loving it.
For our listeners, you are very successful at doing real estate, and that's quite a journey to get to where you are today. So you said you've been doing that for 10 years. How'd you get there? And what was maybe some of the roles you did prior to that or jobs you did prior to that you said, this isn't for me, I'm still trying to figure it out?
Yeah, and it's interesting. Along the way, you look back and you think, well, gosh, everything really helped, even though along the way I never really chose a marketing major in college, and then from there just got a business degree, sort of just because that's what you're supposed to do after high school, go to college, get a degree, and move on. And so I did that, and went into retail and went into management, did some different things, did some sales jobs, outside sales, and that type of thing. Again, everything that I was doing along the way never was totally satisfied with, and it knew there had to be something else. And along the way, at one point I said, I just have to try something else. And so at that point I was in my 40s, and I decided to start my own business, basically just like flipping houses, basically. Everybody's heard of that now, but 12 years ago or so, I sort of knew and, on the edge and thought I would try it. I love the fact of remodeling houses and redoing them and turning them around for a profit, hopefully. That time, the market was a little bit different than it is today as far as being able to get a loan. It was really pretty simple and pretty clear cut. Did one flip and did well. And when I went to get a loan for the next project that I had, they looked at me and said, well, you don't even have a job. And it was totally different at that point. And that's when the market went bust and everything went crazy back in,
That's kind of crazy that you started your business.
2007.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy you started your business right when the market was going down. That had to be challenging.
It was interesting, yeah. And so at that point I said, well, gosh, I'm just going to get my real estate license, become a real estate agent, and then I can continue doing my business, but also get paid for, representing myself on selling a house or whatever. So I thought that might be a logical direction to go. So sort of, again, didn't really choose it. It just was sort of chosen for me, and I ended up there.
Yeah, it's funny. You mentioned something earlier that I think it's pretty key. You got a business degree because you didn't know what else you wanted to do. And I think anyone who doesn't know what they want to do yet still want to go to college, that's what I would recommend, because a business degree could be really used in any field or for personal use, obviously, as well.
Yeah, it's definitely going to help you out in the end. If you want to eventually go into business for yourself, or if you want to be a part of a business, obviously everybody's going to be in some capacity part of a business. So it definitely was helpful. And that's why I look back and I think, wow, I didn't realize really what I was doing, but really the steps that I did take worked out to be very beneficial for me to end up being a realtor. So that was interesting, as far as marketing and business and getting into retail where I was a manager and working with other people, and never really had a business for myself at that time, but that business plan of the companies that I worked for really worked to benefit me today as a real estate agent, where I am an independent contractor, basically have my own business.
Right. Yeah. And speaking of which, why don't you walk us through your average day? I know a realtor's day can be kind of crazy, and you probably have you're going a lot of directions at one time, and I would assume you have to be available all the time for your clients as well.
Well, I think if you want to be successful, that is what I have found, that I'm available 24/7, 365, but I do make my own schedule. So if I want to take, a week off, or if I want to take an afternoon off or a morning off or something, as long as I work around that, I can do that. I can sort of set my own schedule, which is great. If you want to be successful in this business, and I'm sure it's in any business, you've got to put the time in, and a lot of people want to be a part-time agent, and those people tend not to be as successful, just because you really do have to put a lot of time into this to be successful and be there for your clients.
Speaking of which, it sounds like you did find the job you really enjoyed. So what would you say is the most rewarding part of this job?
Well, definitely, the reason I found something that worked for me is because I always, throughout my different jobs, never felt fulfilled. This is something that I have a passion for because I am helping other people. And what better thing to help people with than one of the biggest purchases of their lifetime, their house. And all of the things that go with that, as far as being able to buy a new house, their dream house, their first house, their last house, or being able to sell those as well, and helping them through that period of their life where there's a lot going on. And I've dealt with a lot of different people at this point that these are different stages of their life, and where I can help them or make a difference, that's huge. So that's definitely the most fulfilling part of my job.
So what would be the most challenging part of your job, whether it's dealing with clients, dealing with schedules? I know there's some challenging parts.
There are definitely challenging parts. The thing with this is you're dealing with a lot of different people. I mean, look who are those people that own homes. I mean, everybody has the potential to own a home. And so with that, you get a lot of different people with a lot of different personalities. So you have buyers and sellers, and then you have other agents that you deal with and their personalities as well. It can be challenging. And sometimes when people go out and try to sell a house by themselves or sell by owner, I cringe because I'm scared for them, because of what you can run into. And that's the whole idea of getting an agent. We as an agent have to make it more of a business transaction and work with another agent to make it get to the closing table. Whereas, you as a homeowner, this is very emotional. I mean, you've got a lot of memories involved in this. You have a lot of, it could be a very, very difficult thing for you to let go of your house and you want to sell it for the amount that you think it should be worth when the other party doesn't think it is. And so, those are challenging things, and but I like working through that as well. I take those challenges and turn them around so that hopefully you're going to get a win-win out of it.
So now looking back, if you could tell your 13 or 14-year-old self, give yourself advice, what would you do differently?
You think about that, and it's like, gosh, would I tell myself, hey, just go ahead and go to college, and then right out of college, just jump into real estate and be a great realtor and really get your business going? I don't think I would do that. I don't think I would really change anything because, again, every experience I had made me, the best realtor at this time in my life. I basically don't have regrets for going through some of those jobs that I didn't care for. I believe in a higher power that has control over everything, and sometimes it's hard as we are going through things to figure out, gosh, where am I supposed to be? Where am I supposed to go? And we don't understand it a lot of times in life. But you just keep taking one more step and keep doing the right thing. And eventually, that's really what I told a lot of people, including my sons, that you don't have to know exactly what you want to be when you grow up. Not everybody does. I didn't figure it out until my 40s. That's okay. Keep going one step at a time sometimes. And you'll get there.
Right. And can you tell, I know you did not take the traditional career path, but do you know what the traditional career path would be for a real estate agent?
I don't think there really is a traditional career path. It's interesting, and it has changed over the years, too, as far as who gets into real estate and why. And there's a lot of different people and a lot of different ages. And I think it tends to be a little bit older. The benefit of that is that I don't have kids in school and don't have kids that are involved with sports and music programs and things that I have to go to every evening. So that, leaves things much more flexible for me to be able to tend to my clients. So when a client calls, and wants to go see a house right away, I'm available. That's a huge benefit. And I would hate to have kids that are growing up and, oh gosh, I'd have to, miss their game and miss their concert and so on and so forth because I'm going out and showing houses.
Right.
Because a lot of my job is on evenings and weekends. You got to be able to give and take. And I think at this point in my life, and I think that's why, again, other realtors probably find that as well, that it works later on rather than early on.
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing for listeners who might want to be a realtor to realize is, it is nights and weekends. You do need to factor that in when making a decision on what path you would like to pursue. What's the best way for our listeners to get in touch with you or learn more about you and your company?
Well, they can certainly, I've got a website, rongarland.com. They can certainly go to that. I have a Facebook as well, like Realtor Ron Garland. Get more information there, and feel free to contact me directly, via email or phone, and I would be glad to help anyone out.
Awesome. Well, before we end, I'm a car enthusiast. I know you're not quite as big of a car enthusiast as me. But I would like to find out, I know a lot of the listeners who are trying to figure out what to do next for their career journey are probably teenagers, and they might be driving soon. So I am curious, what was your first car?
Oh gosh. Well, I drove one of my parents' cars in high school that they sort of handed down to me, which was just, it was either, I think it might have been a Chevy Impala or something.
Like a 70s big boat Impala?
Yeah, exactly, one of those big ones. And then actually the first one that I bought when I was in college was similar to that. It was all souped up. It was like it had power windows. Like
Whoa.
You didn't have to crank them. I know. I was like, whoa. I mean, I bought it dirt cheap because it was really old, and there was one window, the one power window in the back seat. If you did power it down, it wouldn't power back up. So I always had to tell everybody,
don't touch that button.
Don't push that one. Yeah, it wasn't real big in the car. I just needed some wheels, to get me around. So
okay, and what do you drive today? What's your daily driver?
Well, today I got just a Toyota Camry, which is great for just taking clients, around in or something. But then I also have a Chevy Silverado truck.
That does come in handy when you need to move armoires.
That comes in handy too. So, yeah.
Well, one thing I'd like to do is if I had all the power in the world where I could tell Comey and Shepherd they need to give you a company car, a cool company car, I would like to make a recommendation for you. And I've probably done more research on this than I probably should have. But I would like to recommend a 1972 Citroën DS23. Do you have any idea what kind of car that is?
I don't.
So it's a French car, and ironically DS, and this has nothing to do with my decision, but DS is short for the French word for goddess. So that has nothing to do with my decision. But I was thinking from a realtor's perspective, you need something with space. Obviously, you need you're in the car a lot. You probably want power steering, smooth ride. You need a trunk. You got open houses. You need to have room for some stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's really cool about this car is it was Italian designed. It has like a Maserati engine, and it's a four-door, really swoopy, cool-looking car. It actually was voted as one of the most iconic automobile designs in the history of the automobile. So it's really cool. You can fit 4 people in case, you're giving your client a drive somewhere. What's really interesting about the car is it has a hydraulic suspension, and they call it the magic carpet. So it's super smooth, independent wheels at all times. You can run over a speed bump and never even feel it. So that would be my recommendation for you. So what I'll do is I'll shoot you a link so you can see what the heck I'm talking about. So
That's great.
They're quirky and they're cool. Thank you so much for your time today, taking us on your career journey. We really appreciate that. And
sure. Thank you for talking with me. That's awesome.
Thank you for listening to Learn from Others, where we help others succeed by sharing success. Where will our next adventure take us? Subscribe to find out. If you know of someone who has a cool career story or occupation, contact Greg through Instagram at Greg Stanley LFO. That's GregStanley LFO. And we will see you soon as we learn from others together.
do you enjoy your job and find it fulfilling? Or do you spend more time wondering what if instead of what's next? If so, contact Career Spa. Career Spa has extensive programs and curriculum and understands the challenges faced by individuals in transition. They can teach these success practices to be mastered for an effective job search. Answer that what if question by contacting Career Spa and asking their experts, what's next? Contact Career Spa at careerspa.net. Talent acquisition is key to building a successful organization. Talent Connections is a professional services firm that specializes in recruiting, including executive search, contract recruiting, talent acquisition consulting, and recruitment process outsourcing. Whether you are an individual or a Fortune 100 company, Talent Connections can connect you with success. Contact them at talentconnections.net.